I am Brandon Phoenix, the eldest of the Raspy Voice kids.
JN Fiend, Jeremy, co-host.
And I might also hate Pitt, if that's what you want to call me. Today we're going to have RC in the building with us, Stat Boy to some of you guys. He's one of our closest friends. He's one of the best Mountaineers you'll meet.
Real Mountaineer.
He's going to help us review the Big 12. We're going to do a Big 12 roundup. We're going to do the Virginia Tech review. We already did the Why We Hate Virginia Tech. We already did the preview. Today you get the review. And RC will be with us through that. We're also going to be graced by a man by the name of John Lowe. Now, some of you guys might know John Lowe because he's a reporter with the AP and the Herald-Dispatch. He's the assistant sports editor at the Daily A.A.M, and he's a contributor at the Smoking Musket. So this guy knows what he's doing. He knows his way around some journalism as well as some sports. So we're going to get his perspective on all the things that have to do with the Mountaineers, especially in this past week and this upcoming week. Until then, as they say, in the meantime, in between time, it'll be just me, J Fiend, and RC. So, what do you think of the Big 12 Week 1?
Week 1. We're going to let RC give us a rundown of the scores. Because here's the thing. I think we're all on the same boat.
Pathetic. It was pathetic. It was embarrassing. It was sad. It was disgraceful. It was everything the pundits have been saying about the Big 12. Everything Paul Feinbaum's been saying about the Big 12. It was not what we needed.
Do you know what I'm sick of? I'm sorry, you don't have to give me a second. You know what I'm sick of? We got out of the Big East. And when we were in the Big East, coming down the stretch, I couldn't root against my rivals. I can't root for Pitt and Virginia Tech to lose. And I want them to lose every single game.
Every single game.
Virginia Tech had left by that time. But because the Big East was in the state that it was in, we had to root for them because we needed respect. We got out. We got off the Titanic. We got to a new place. Everybody's happy. Everybody's smiling. Stop. No, we're not, because now we're back in the same place.
We're Jack in the water at the moment. But before we go full bore, we're going to let RC tell us what the scores were.
For the most part, I mean, if you take away the awful black eyes that everybody's talking about, I mean, most of the Big 12 offenses, they were putting up 50-plus. Oklahoma State beat Tulsa 59-24. Oklahoma State was really good.
Tulsa.
They
scored
Tulsa. Oh, man.
Scored touchdown. Hey, their offense looked legit. Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield, Big 12 offensive player of the week. They destroyed UTEP 56-7.
UTEP? UTEP?
Texas El Paso.
Oh, for real? Oh, man. Okay, go ahead.
Well, okay, we're looking at it this way. So Kansas State won 55-19. The big thing there is their quarterback, Jesse Ertz, 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards passing.
Who they play?
Another thing that they played Central Arkansas.
Central
Arkansas. We're not talking about the Razorbacks.
Oh. McFadden played there, right?
Nah, that's a different team.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Texas Tech, 56. Eastern Washington, 10.
Now, I will say this. Eastern Washington is an FCS school, but still, Texas Tech played better than I thought they would defensively. I'll give them that. But I still don't think they've gone to the unburied yet.
Continue on.
That's what I said. I don't think they're unburied. I think they're still buried. I think Cliff Kingsbury's still on a burning hot seat. That's what I'm saying. I just felt like their defense played better than I expected. That's all I'm saying.
Kansas beat Southeast Missouri 38-16. Rock Chalk Jayhawk for that one.
That's right. Conference win for them.
Hey, real talk. Any win Kansas gets.
That's how I feel.
Any win
Kansas gets.
I can't do that. But
Iowa State knocked off Northern Iowa 42-24. Closer game. It was actually pretty close into the second half. TCU knocked off Jackson State 63-0. The big thing here, though, Kenny Hill had a pretty good day. Didn't turn the ball over, 18-23 for 4 touchdowns.
Kenny Trill.
So
you said the name wrong.
Trill,
you said the name wrong.
So stay with the Kenny Trill.
Now onto the Black Eyes. Maryland goes on the road and goes into Austin, Texas, and beats Tom Herman in their debut. Maryland 51, Texas 41. Texas looked awful.
And Maryland's starting quarterback tore his ACL in that game, didn't even finish the game, and Texas.
And he's done for the year, yeah.
And Texas still couldn't come back and win. The thing for me is they just got out-physicaled by Maryland.
You know what? I'm going to wait till – all right, give us the next 2 scores.
You also had Liberty going to Waco and beating Baylor 48-45 in the second biggest upset.
Why are we not talking more about Ron Turner's Liberty team beating Baylor? Are we going to wait to talk about that?
Give a second. Okay. I'm sorry,
RC. I'm sorry.
All right, our next score.
That's it. Outside of the Mountaineer Virginia Tech game, that was the rundown of every Big 12 team over the weekend.
Now, I'm not trying to hate on the Big 12's wins, I understand they put up points, and look, the thing is, when you play lesser teams, you beat them like they're lesser teams.
Yeah, they did what they were supposed to do.
But there's nothing that came out of this week that was good. Period. Every Power 5 conference team we played, we lost to. And like I said, we got out of the Big East to get out of this. So we didn't have to deal with this. And now on SportsCenter, everybody not showing us respect. And now it just proves a point. We play Power 5 conference teams and we lose. And I am so sick of Texas.
I'm beyond sick of Texas.
So sick of Texas.
Tom Herman said, I don't want to come and just overnight sprinkle. You know, I don't want you guys to think all we have to do is sprinkle some fairy dust and overnight we're going to be good. Well, guess what, Tom Herman? It's like Will Cain. Now, listen, I'm not a big Will Cain fan, but he was right when he said it's not been overnight. It's been 9 months. You've had 3 straight top 15 recruiting classes. There is no excuse. Zero, cero, nada, nunca for losing to the Maryland Terrapins.
The only way you get out of this is if Maryland goes 9-3. But guess who's not going 9-3?
Not gonna that.
The Terps.
Not gonna that.
I'm telling you.
No chance.
I'm so sick of Texas. And you know what makes me the most mad? We got out of the Big East. Part of the collapse of the Big East happened, and I've said this before. People want to blame it on everything else. Part of the Big East collapse was because 2 programs that people care about a lot
at the time
didn't pull their weight.
At the time, they were.
What do you need? What do you need? I'll explain it. What do you need for people to care about you in this country at college football?
A brand.
Money, Heisman's,
national championships, All-American.
Media, being in media, populated places. What 2 teams in the Big East fit that bill the best?
Pittsburgh and Syracuse.
And you know,
lowercase p.
And do you know who dropped the ball? Do you know who lost to OU? And I'm not talking about Oklahoma. I'm talking about OU, Athens, and Bobcat.
Ohio University.
No disrespect. They dropped.
That's pretty disrespectful. But
they dropped the ball consistently for a decade. If they were doing
longer than that.
That's what I'm saying. Syracuse.
Generous.
Think about all the tradition and history they have, Heisman's, and I'm not trying to gas them up. They dropped the ball and were terrible, and that's part of the reason why Big East football collapsed. Now we're here in a new conference, and our big dog who runs things is doing the same exact thing.
Texas thinks they're Alabama. They want to be Alabama. Well, big dogs do big things in big games. And guess what you don't do, Texas? Anything worth mentioning. All you do is embarrass us. It's just a complete and pure black eye.
I'm so
By the way,
sick
when we get to playing
Texas.
Texas, I already know what we're going to have to say when it comes to the why we hate Texas.
Oh, it's going to be real.
It's going to be easy.
Oh, I can't wait.
Quick, fast, and easy.
I can't wait.
We finna get to them, but.
All right, go back to the Baylor loss.
The Baylor loss.
I know, I interrupted.
I like Ron Turner. He's a nice guy, but we beat the brakes off that team a couple of years ago at home, WVU. Baylor gets Liberty at home. Matt Rule comes in. He's a disciplined guy. He's a character guy. He's a tough guy. They've got talent at Waco. They don't have the depth in Waco, but they should have no business being in a close game, let alone losing to Liberty. And what did they do? They lost.
The thing about
to Liberty. To Liberty. I'm not talking about freedom. I'm not talking about the Statue of Liberty. I'm talking about that little tiny worthless team. No disrespect.
No, you done came real hard on that worthless team.
FCS. It's FCS.
No.
A Power 5 team against FCS.
Did he have to never say no? He said
I'm making a joke. I looked at you as a joke. I looked at you saying, I'm saying no disrespect, but I'm saying no disrespect. You know what people say? People say, no offense, but I can't stand talking to you. Yes, I don't mean to offend Liberty.
Now here's the thing.
They will be offended because that was disrespectful.
Where is Liberty?
You remind me of Stephen A. talking about Kwame Brown back in the day.
Yes, and Stephen A. was right about Kwame Brown. But
my thing about Liberty is, if you talk to Liberty people around Liberty, they're gonna say, no, we have a good team. Like I don't care what you have. It doesn't matter what you think.
It doesn't matter.
There is no way in the world Baylor should have lost Liberty.
Nada, nunca.
And this all just culminates into, this is the reason why before the season starts, people say the Big 12 will be left out.
And people like, I almost said Skylar Howard, Baker Mayfield, who say he doesn't care what happens to anybody else in the Big 12. All he cares about is his team, the Oklahoma Sooners. I respect and applaud that because he's focusing on the job he has to do. However, it's nonsensical when you think about the idea of, if you go undefeated and there happens to somehow be magically 5 undefeated Power 5 teams, guess who's getting left out?
See, he always has a talk till we disagree.
You think Oklahoma would make it in?
If Oklahoma goes undefeated, they are not.
This year.
No,
If there's 5 undefeated Power 5
Brandon,
teams.
if it's us, we're getting left out. If it's TCU, we're left out. If it's Baylor, we're getting left out. If it's Oklahoma, they're not leaving Oklahoma out.
So if it's Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and USC.
They will get left out in that scenario.
That's what I'm saying. Whoa. That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying in the majority of scenarios, there's only a handful of teams they're picking. Let me finish. There's only a handful of teams that they will pick over Oklahoma. You just happen to name all of them.
I don't disagree. My only point to all of what you're saying is this. You should be rooting for the strongest possible schedule, the most strength of schedule possible.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree, but I also say if Oklahoma wins out, they really don't have to worry about it.
They do have to worry about it.
Wait, Oklahoma doesn't, because they got the name brand. They always start off top 10, and they play people. They're playing Ohio State.
All season's my dude.
Wait a minute.
Conversation's over. Me and Chris.
No, so does USC. So does Clemson. So does Ohio State. So does Alabama. All those teams I mentioned, that puts 5. There's only 4 spots. My point purely is you want the most chance possible. So if you go head-to-head with Clemson, or if you go head-to-head with, because they're not leaving out the defending national champion.
No. By the way, we're agreeing with you, what you're saying.
Chris said he doesn't agree.
But what I'm saying is,
I agree with what you're saying. There are a few scenarios.
All right,
so it's a better chance for Oklahoma.
So we all get it. We're on the same target.
The only point I'm making is that Baker could be my option if he plays on the team. But the fans who I'm talking to on Facebook, you guys haven't been. I talk to them, and they have this arrogance. They're going to be nice and furious if it happens the nightmare scenario. There's 5 and Oklahoma gets left out because Bama's not getting left out. National championship Clemson's not getting left out. Ohio State's not getting left out. USC, Oklahoma, now you could argue because you've got the Pac-12 strength of schedule versus Oklahoma strength of schedule. That's all I'm saying. And then, heaven forbid, you go 11-1. Whatever. Jeremy wants to move on. We should move on.
No,
but we're just trying to give you y'all's money's worth.
I was letting him get it out.
But anyway,
we got hot here before we got to Virginia Tech.
So we did our Big 12 roundup. We told you we're going to have John Lowe. He is the sports editor for the Daily A.A.M. He runs at the DA Sports on Instagram, at the DA Sports on Twitter, and he also is a freelance reporter for the Herald Dispatch. As my friend Ryan McClung's father, John Scott McClung, would call it, the Herald Disgrace. He also is a freelance writer for the AP. So we got what they call a big shot, a hottie toddy on the phone with us.
I see you.
Via Skype.
I see you.
We want to know, what did you think about Big 12 play this past week?
It's pretty hard not to be laughing at Texas right now.
Not for me. It's very easy not to laugh at Texas.
Yeah, I don't laugh.
I'm furious.
Irritated.
Look, man, I'm just like, the guy who runs Smoking Musket, the Twitter account, his name is Matt Kirchner. I'm one of those guys that's like, screw conference solidarity. Because I just, I don't know. This probably doesn't help your agenda on this show.
No, say what you feel.
I am not. I've never really liked Texas, and I don't care if they lose. I know it's good for us because we play them later, and it's good if we beat a good Texas team. But I don't care, man. I really don't care. I can't stand Texas.
No, that's good, and that's good because you got a part of the fan base who feels exactly that way.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
We disagree, but that's.
I don't care about Texas. I care about us. That's the thing is, I don't care about Texas. I don't have any conference solidarity. I care about West Virginia, West Virginia's strength of schedule, West Virginia, because we already get garbage about last year we won 10 games last year, and people still look at it and say, well, who'd you beat?
Yeah,
and that's what I care about. All I care about is the respect and prestige of the West Virginia University Mountaineers. One thing I did forget to say though, John Lowe also is also a contributor to the Smoking Musket. So check him out. Lots of good articles, lots of good stuff from him. So we can get back to it. He said he was enjoying laughing at Texas. We disagreed. What else did you take away?
Continue on.
Well, it's gonna. I know it won Big 12, but I'm really sad for DeAndre Francois.
Yes.
That is.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not a huge fan of Florida State, but I can't stand Alabama, and to see him go down the way he went down, I'm upset to see that. You never. No matter who the player is, you never want to see a player go down like that. So I'm upset about him. But hopefully he recovers quickly and he has a really good, successful 2018 season.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the Big 12, I don't know. Baylor, I thought that was interesting, losing to Liberty at home. I knew that Baylor wouldn't be as good. I didn't think it was going to be like that. you know. So we'll see. You know, the thing about week 1, at least in the Big 12, is that, you know, other than Texas and I guess maybe Oklahoma State, no one really played anybody. So, you know, really don't know anything about don't really know anything about the Big 12 right now, at least with me. So, sorry, I was on a soapbox there for a while.
No, good. That's why we have you on. We want to hear what your soapbox is. We want to hear what you have to say when you get on that soapbox.
We want all perspective from all Mountaineers.
Would you take away from Sunday night's game, the Black Diamond Trophy game?
Well, got to meet you guys. That was pretty cool.
That was really cool. He came through when you came up. You came out of my peripheral. I was like, "Who's this dude running at me?" But that was good. I was glad we finally got to see you.
yeah. That was. When I saw you were going to be a couple sections away from me, I'm like, all right, man, I got to wear that Mountain Greer T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
And y'all can get yours too. RVK.bigcartel.com. Be like John Lowe. Be like the Raspy Voice Kids. And support Mr. Mountain Greer. We'll get to him in a little bit.
I can't remember.
And I was impressed with him. I was really impressed with him. You know, the one I was not keen on losing to Virginia Tech because I cannot stand Virginia Tech. I'm probably if anyone listening hasn't figured out now, I am probably the most Homer biased AP reporter there is.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was gonna say I think Jeremy and Herd Hater have you beat. But if you're saying AP reporter, then yes, I get it.
Not true. That's false again.
But yeah, if I'm watching that game, you know, Sunday night, and I'm Lincoln Riley, and I'm Cliff Kingsbury, and I'm Tom Herman, I'm like, wow, this Will Greer kid, wow. I mean, he already had a good night statistically, and you know there were a couple passes there in the first half that, you know, it wasn't Will, you know, it wasn't him, it just fell through their hands, man. So, you know, like that first catch with Quran. So, you know, I was really impressed with Will Greer. I was really impressed with Will Greer. I hate to do this, and I don't know if you guys talked about this already, but I hate now that I have to kind of, I mean, I hate Virginia Tech worse than I hate Pitt. Ooh. But now I'm going to have to kind of want them to win because, you know, to lose that, strength of schedule, and I know it kind of goes against what I said about Texas. You know,
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was just looking at that. I was like,
root for Virginia Tech to win, but you don't want Texas. But I don't understand.
I was just thinking the exact same thing.
Because I'm okay if Virginia Tech decides to just be terrible, and I'll take the loss and say it was just a rivalry game.
First game of the season. Hey, Ohio State went to the national championship after losing to a sorry Virginia Tech team.
They weren't sorry, but they were what, 8-4, 7-5?
I think it was worse than that. I think maybe 7-5 at most.
I think they were 6-6.
Yeah, I think they were like Brandon. They were sorry Virginia Tech team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were on the brink. They were on the brink of not making the postseason. So,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm okay. Out of conference, it was basically an away game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm a hypocrite. If I say I'm a hypocrite, it takes away everyone else's power.
You are a mitigated hypocrite.
Hey.
Yeah.
So what else did you take away? Because we felt the same way about Will Greer. What else did you take away from the game? What did you think about our defense?
I thought they were all right. I thought they were all right. You know, I was really impressed with Al Rashid Benton, as I always am. He's one of my favorite guys on the team. He's very well spoken. Every time you go up to him in the media sessions, he's just, you know, he's great to talk to. I was really impressed with Al. Let me look through it here. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I wasn't in the booth. I was a fan on Sunday, so I wasn't 100% sober. So I don't really remember a whole lot defensively. I mean, Kaiser had a couple of good hits.
Yes, he sure did.
Kaiser had a couple of good hits, and you know, I was overall impressed with the defense. I thought they did all right. You know, I mean, I kept hearing that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Brandon, you were there. I'm assuming all of you guys in there were there.
Yeah, we were all in the same row.
Okay, all right. So I heard. I'm from what I've heard. I heard ESPN was really talking up to Josh Jackson.
Did you not watch the game?
No, he was.
But when you got home, you didn't DVR it?
No, I watched some of the replay. I watched some of the replay and watched ESPN.
Yeah.
But I mean, man, I haven't had time.
Yeah, gotcha.
I got this. I got all that stuff you mentioned earlier, and I got class. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched some of the East Carolina game though, because I wanted to scout East Carolina, and I don't know, man.
Waste of time.
Yeah, waste of time.
Yeah, I got to like the 5-minute mark in the first quarter, and I'm like, screw this.
No.
East
But,
Carolina,
yeah,
and we're gonna get to it, but East Carolina gave up 422 rushing yards to James Madison.
We'll get to that. But
We'll
yeah.
get to it, but anyway.
But on Virginia Tech, because you asked me about Virginia Tech, if I were totally neutral, if I were like in North Dakota and I didn't care who won, I was watching on TV. Very entertaining game. You know, it's a shame that someone had to lose. It's a shame that Virginia Tech had to win, in my opinion. But I mean, learn from it. And that's what Dana kind of said today in his press conference, that they're embracing it, they've learned from it, they're moving on from it, and that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get a big win here at East Carolina. One thing I like about this, you were saying on our podcast, on the DA Sports podcast. By the way, listen to it. There'll be another one out tomorrow night.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss it, man. I believe we're going to have East Carolina's one of the sports editors, their student paper, on tomorrow night. So we'll have some insight on East Carolina. But anyway,
where can you find that? Where can you find your podcast?
Yeah, shout it out.
You can find it on SoundCloud. Just search the Daily A.A.M Sports. I don't know how. I don't remember how to spell it off the top of my head. But it's okay. A.A.M.
ATHANAEUM.
Yeah, it almost sounds like I don't work there, right?
Yeah, it sounds like maybe we got an imposter. I feel like we need to check our lines, man. Make sure this is who it's supposed to be.
No, man.
You didn't set up a booth for Harvey, did you?
Like 45 minutes ago. But yeah, just check it out on SoundCloud. I'll share it on my Twitter account, which is at JohnEverett24. Follow at the DA Sports. We'll share it on there as well. So check it out. We got a lot of good, insightful minds, and we are the outside of the athletic department itself, we are the campus sports authority on all of the Olympic sports that Bob Herzl and Mitch Vingel, they don't pay as much attention to.
Excellent. Which includes our rifle team.
Rifle team. Right now, it's mainly volleyball, both soccer teams, and cross country, because they're the only ones really doing anything right now.
Yes.
But yeah, check it out. We always have an opening segment on them. So check it out for sure.
And the soccer teams are doing big things. The other thing about the Daily A.A.M, at the DA Sports, if you follow their Instagram and their Instagram stories, they're always giving updates on all of those scores, all of those events. So if you're looking for more West Virginia University coverage, especially on those Olympic sports, they're the guys to look for.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like on Instagram, soccer, like our scores. I checked you out. I mean, you come up on my feed. You keep me up on everything. Like I said, from soccer to all the other games going on. So yeah, no, definitely check them out. Real talk.
Yeah. Is that Jeremy?
That's Jay and Fiend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I never talked to him before, man, because he was just Brandon on our podcast. So man, glad to finally do a podcast with you too, Jeremy.
No, absolutely. We're glad to have you on, man.
So, but yeah, check us out. We got a lot of good reporters coming up. We got myself. We got Chris Jackson. We got Patrick Kotnick. We're leading the team of a whole bunch of young, hungry reporters. So check us out on there.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, like you were like we said last week. Shoot, I forgot where I was going with that before I went into my pitch.
You were talking about. You said you want to talk about Virginia Tech because you said you're going to have the guy from East Carolina's paper on.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, the guy that we talked to from Virginia Tech, he said, it was a very evenly matched game. He said it was going to be an evenly matched game. There was a lot of comparisons. They had Stephen Peoples, who was a pretty unproven running back. He hadn't really done much. He played in like one game, I think last year, against Notre Dame, and we had kind of the same thing with Martell Pettaway. I had no idea that he was going to be that good on Sunday night. If you ever want an opposing insight on the opposing team, listen to our podcast and follow the guys that we bring on, because it's actually, I had no idea about this opposing team, about Virginia Tech really, other than Josh Jackson and Cam Phillips. I had nothing on them until I brought them on, and it was really insightful. So check us out, check them out. With that, I think I'm done talking about Virginia Tech, man.
Thank you for coming on. That's what you just said is the stuff we wanted to have you come in and say.
Absolutely.
We wanted the people to be able to know where to find you. we like to have the students come on because you guys are the maniacs, the Mountaineer maniacs. You're what makes Mountaineer Field what it is. You're what makes the Coliseum what it is. And even though you get in and do your professional thing, we know you still got that fan in you like you showed on Sunday night. So thank you for coming in and joining us.
And no problem. And hey, if you guys don't know about it, follow at WVU Maniacs. I know the guy who heads up the board over there. Follow them, see what they're doing. It's a lot of fun to see what the Maniacs have in store. I haven't been a Maniac in 2 years because I've been doing press.
Oh, so you don't get to be that's right. You're in the box.
I could be a Maniac, but it's not like I need them to go to the games or anything. So I'd just be, wasting $35.
I feel like he's stunting on him a little bit. I feel like he's stunting on him.
Get him.
Stunt on them.
Yep.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. So we just had John Lowe, and he did an excellent job giving us his perspective, talking to us about some of the things that he does for the Daily Athenaeum, for the Smoking Musket, for the Associated Press, and for the Herald-Dispatch. But now we're going to talk from the Raspy Voice Kids perspective on the Virginia Tech game. And I want to say, first things first, hold on, give me 1 second.
First things first, I'm the realist.
First of all, when I say first things first, your response should always be first things first. I, Papa. Should not be an Iggy Azalea line, okay? This is the second time you went with an Iggy Azalea line over the Notorious B.I.G., okay? I let it go the first time. All right.
Tomato.
All right, so the first things first, tip of the cap to Virginia Tech. Okay? Got to give props. We are not haters. We hate Virginia Tech. We are not haters. If you don't know the difference, ask somebody who can explain to you what it is. We have respect for Virginia Tech. They won the game. They earned it. They deserved it. Kudos to them. They had the Black Diamond Trophy. Enough of that.
All right, so I don't know. What were your feelings about the game?
My feelings about the game was it went about the way I expected. It went about the way I expected. I thought we would run the ball more. I thought we'd have more of a balanced offense than we had. Will Greer threw the ball 54 times. We ran the ball, I believe, if you count the backwards pass to Tevin Bush. So Justin Crawford had 13 carries for 106 yards. Will Greer had, I think, 8 for 52. Kennedy McCoy had 8 for 50, I believe. Martell Pettaway had 2 carries for like 18 yards, something like that. Anyway, we did not run the ball very much. It was not a 50-50 split like we've had in years past, like we had been going. I don't know how much of that was Spavital's new approach, or not new approach, but his approach, and how much of that was just taking what the defense gave us, which is the impression I was given when I watched Dana's press conference, when I watched Spav talk about it.
Yeah.
There was miscommunication in the secondary, which I did not expect. I thought the secondary would be our strength. And it turned out that it wasn't our strength in a lot of situations. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't as sure as I thought it was going to be in that first game. I was very impressed. The people who jumped out to me, Kaiser White jumped off the screen. He did what I expected him to do. I wasn't impressed because you guys already know I think he's better than Kevin. Jeremy doesn't agree. Lots of people don't agree. Kaiser White was the man. I thought that Alrashid Benton played like a real dog. I was very impressed with him. Somebody that was surprising to me, not because I didn't think he was going to be good, but because he was better than I expected, sooner than I expected. Lamont McDougal, a.k.a. Lamont Savage. That boy earned that name. His Instagram name meant something on Sunday night.
He looked good, man.
He looked real good.
He looked good.
He was in on plays. He played very well. He had the leverage. He had the strength, and he was not afraid. I was very impressed with him. Quandarius Qualls played well. Dylan Tonkery, man. Dylan Tonkery looked like he belonged.
He did some nice things.
Dylan Tonkery was second string, but he looked like he belonged to me.
He did some nice things. I got a lot of feelings, man. I got a lot of feelings, and I got a lot of things to say. And I don't know how to wind this up. I'll start slowly, just saying that I feel like it was a slugfest. I felt both teams played very well. I was very impressed with some of the offensive play calls that Virginia Tech had. I feel like we had some miscues, some miscommunications on defense, but I feel like I can't put it all on them because I feel like Virginia Tech made some really nice play calls at times.
Yeah. Talk about the defense real quick. Did you know that the defense didn't give up a first down? They didn't give a third down conversion. You know about that?
I knew it was into the late second quarter.
Under 2 minutes to go in the half.
This was almost like the Miami game a little bit.
Yep.
The only difference is our offense actually scored in the second half.
Yeah.
It was kind of the same scenario. I felt like our defense played well. our rush defense at time, and I was in stadium, so I wasn't able. I didn't get to watch the whole thing again. It was a quick turnaround, but I feel like our rush defense got gashed a little bit, and I'm interested to see why that was.
We didn't finish play. Oh, you didn't watch it yet?
Yeah, I watched some of it. I watched like half of it. I forgot to record it. Then I'm looking on my phone on my drive up here, and
what I noticed, we didn't finish plays. Peoples kept his legs churning.
I felt like we were a little light in the pants the second half. I don't know if that's just a little bit tired.
I felt like we didn't finish plays as far as tackling.
But I also feel like they were good offensive play calls.
There was.
They were going different ways.
And you have to remember, they popped some big ones too.
What I also say is about West Virginia is, and I told somebody at work this, I feel like right now, us gelling a little, because you see how many times Draymond jumped up and down and was shaking his hands, like the miscommunication. I feel like that's going to work its way out. For week 1, Virginia Tech was a little bit better than us, and I think it played out on the field.
They were.
In week 6, I feel like our ceiling is higher than Virginia Tech's. So they got us. They were the better school on Sunday. Better on the field on Sunday. But by the end of this year or halfway through this year, I feel like our ceiling is higher and we are going to be a better team. Doesn't matter. We lost this game.
And stop blaming the refs. All these people on social media blaming the refs.
For Pete's sake, stop it.
Stop it.
This was the biggest team loss I've seen. Not saying that we didn't. I'm not saying we're playing horrible. I'm just saying everything contributed to it.
Yes, I agree. Your description of that is excellent. It was not one person. It was not one side. It was not special teams, offense, defense.
I was gonna go there.
I mean, it wasn't just one of those.
Yeah,
phases.
I will. Yeah, it wasn't just one of those phases. I will say, looking at the special teams. All right, so we were talking big programs have great special teams. Do you know what their average punt was?
Theirs?
Around? It was over 40 yards. I think it was like 40, 46.
I do know what ours was.
46 yards a punt. 8 punts, 46 yards a punt, something like that. You know, what was ours?
36.
36 yards a punt. That's 10 yards in a game that's a slugfest.
But did you hear why?
I didn't hear why. Why?
Billy Kinney was having full body cramps. And Dana said that today in his press conference.
That's tough.
I say today, this is Tuesday. What's today? Tuesday.
And I was driving up here. I didn't see any press conference.
Dana Holgerson had a press conference this afternoon, and one of the things he said was Billy Kinney was having full body cramps. And he said, I understand why Gary Jennings was having full body cramps. He said, I understand why their safety was having full body cramps. I don't understand why Billy Kinney was. He's like, but he was. He said, hopefully it didn't happen again. The other thing I will say is Matt McCullough, a guy that we interviewed on our show, said that Billy Kinney's been fighting with tendonitis in his knee all season or all off season. That might have been part of the problem too. All that we know is the production, the results.
Do you know what their average starting field position was?
That one I don't know.
I don't know the specific number. You guys can adjust me. I think it was like 34-yard line, 35-yard line.
Yeah.
Where ours was like the 18. That's a big difference. Those little numbers between the punts and where you start, all that factors in when it's a 7-point game that we lose at the last seconds. That's huge.
Especially when you consider this. 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the half. We're leading 7-3 after a touchdown, and then we force him to go 3 and out. Gary Jennings did not field a punt, and that punt ended up on our 1-yard line. So we had the momentum, and then on a special teams play, like what you're saying, they get the momentum back.
I will also say something. I feel like Gibby's unit will get it together, and it's going to be better than what it showed.
Always does.
And I feel like I said, there's miscommunication, some growing pains. They're going to be all right. What I do find unacceptable, and who am I to say unacceptable? I'm just saying.
You're a fan. You can say unacceptable.
One thing that I find unacceptable is we created 0 turnovers.
Well, people might argue that.
You can argue all you want.
On this that strip that they called, they said it.
What, did we get the ball?
No.
We had 0 turnovers.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying we had 0 turnovers.
But can you give credit to Josh Jackson for that?
No, I think partially. But
can you give credit to their running backs for that? Because I saw them going after.
And by the way, I've given love for Virginia Tech, so I agree. Yeah. I'm just saying
because I think Josh Jackson was better than I anticipated as a redshirt freshman. I felt like we didn't confuse him as much, but it's hard to confuse somebody. I think
that coaching staff did a good job getting them ready.
That's right.
They did a good job getting them ready.
It's also hard to confuse somebody when you're confused yourself in the secondary.
Yeah.
So
there were some blitzes that came through and they lit the quarterback up.
We had 1 sack.
And that's what I'm saying. He got it off, or he found the open man.
That's what I mean.
So I felt like it was just good play. Like there's nothing a whole lot. I don't.
The other thing was Cam Phillips was nearly unstoppable. So he was a bailout machine.
Yeah.
So even if we got to Josh Jackson, rattled him, he could throw it up, and Cam Phillips made a play. And that's no slight to our defense. It just is what it is. I felt like Mike Daniels and Hakeem Bailey played well in moments.
They play solid.
But they had too many pass interferences where it was clear they were lost on the field. They didn't understand where they were in space. But I fully expect them to fix that. I don't think they're going to stay that way because I think they're good corners. I felt like they were often in position. They just didn't quite finish the play.
I'm not going to single them out because there's plenty of people in the defense on certain plays that happen where I see people going the wrong ways. And
I didn't mean to single them out like in a bad way. I just mean that's what I saw.
Yeah.
And pass interferences were called on them. But I'm not saying like I think they're terrible players or I hate them. I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to improve. I think this is probably the most optimistic I've been in a loss since the Alabama game.
Chris, how do you feel about this, man?
I'm kind of disagree with you on a couple things. Let's start with Josh Jackson. He had a good game. I think the reason we didn't really create turnovers is because the game was always so close. We never got ahead by 2 scores and forced them to get into their offense. They were able to come to the line, do a lot of misdirection, and pretty much hammer us the entire time. When we did hold them to 3rd and long, as what Brandon was talking about at the end of the first half, they made plays. I mean, for the game, you look at Virginia Tech for the game, 3 out of 15 on 3rd down conversions.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is an awesome stat that we go for. We held them, but the one that they got that led to a touchdown for the half.
Yep.
When you're talking about
they finished the second half like that, and they finished the fourth quarter like that, scoring touchdowns on last drives.
Yeah, first half.
Finished the first half with that.
Well, they gave up the 3 you're talking about. Where were they? They were 3rd and longs.
Yeah.
The one was a big bad 3rd and long. Another one
that started out 1st and 30 on that possession.
Well, that was they got bailed out by a pass interference call in that one.
But it was a legit pass interference.
Legit pass interference, but yeah, I'm just saying as far as conversions go, they only converted 3 out of 15 for the game.
Yeah.
But for me, I kind of like the good and the bad. The good, with 600 yards offense. I mean, it didn't seem like we ran a lot. We had 220 yards rushing as a team. Will Greer had 370 yards against the Bud Foster defense. And for the game, it looked like we weren't running as much. When you were there at the game, you get to read some of the comics, and then you get to go back and watch the replay. Virginia Tech played. They stacked the box and they played press man coverage, and it hurt us because our receivers did an okay job, but we didn't have the speed to get away from man to man coverage.
Yep.
We beat them on a couple deep routes, but we were missing that speedster, that burner.
Absolutely, 100%. We ran good routes, and we have great receivers, and they balled. But like Brandon kind of said, his worry, somebody take the top off the defense.
So that changes everything.
Some key people weren't in there. Yeah. They loaded the box. They forced us to throw. And the thing is, we were still successful. But
exactly. And that's for us. I know Will Greer had the one turnover on the 4th and 2, but to me, that was just Virginia Tech for that play. That doesn't really count.
A punt. That was a punt.
Play was dead.
Yeah, or the thing is, we're talking about running though. We only ran the ball 35 times. We threw it 54. That's why I said that. And 11. I was wrong. 11 of those runs were Will Greer. And Dana said today he does not want Will running that much. Now he said in the fourth quarter, game on the line, you do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
I think they only did a couple designed runs, but Will Greer ran a lot of those plays, and they were so open. But when you're averaging 6.3 yards a carry like we were, something's working. I know we ripped off some big ones, but I feel like we could have put more pressure on their defense, wore them out a little bit more by running the ball. I felt like that was something we could do. Now, of course, I say that as a fan because I am not a coach. I'm not even a journalist. I'm just a fan. My perspective was we could have run a little bit more, but I could be wrong.
That's the thing that's the hardest thing about this. You can't put an exact finger because in the second half they put up points. The offense put up points. You can say what you want, and then they
scored 17 points in the second half.
That's what I'm saying. And every time we scored within under 2 minutes, they came back and scored on us.
Yeah.
So this is a tough game. But I will
get back to special teams. We did not return any kicks. We had one punt return for -3 yards. It was Tevin Bush. It wasn't his fault. There was nowhere to go. And when we scored and took that lead, they returned the ball and then got a personal foul. The next thing you know, they're in the end zone.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay, and on that play, you clearly see our secondary shaking their heads and losing. Again, I'm with Jeremy. I think that'll get corrected.
Yes, I agree too. I agree with that too.
Well, a couple big things, though, you got to take away from the defense in this game.
All right, go ahead.
Well, the Virginia Tech's first points, that's a 1st and goal at the 1. You held them to 3. There was another drive they got inside the 20. You held them to a couple field goal attempts, short field goal attempts. I was encouraged by the defense, and then on the other side, our offensive line, I don't think it's getting enough credit yet. Virginia Tech had a great defensive line. They kept Will Greer clean most of the night. I really think that was a question mark, but our offensive line going for, I feel like there's a lot of things I'm very encouraged with coming out of this game. Like I said, it's a tough pill to swallow, but there's a lot of things I feel like are easily correctable and can make us a really good team this year.
Let's get to the offense. All right. So this loss is tough, and we feel bad. But let's get to the bright spots. Let's get to the Will Greers and the offensive line.
And the Justin Crawford.
And the Justin Crawford.
And the Kennedy McCoy, Martell Petaway.
And the Sills and the Jennings. Like, did you watch the offense?
And Karan had some drops.
I mean, Karan, yeah.
Karan had some drops that mattered.
He has a problem with that, but
Karan also made the best catch of the night.
it was nice.
By either team.
No.
Most people can't make.
When Will Greer dropped back, here's a question. I always thought, what happens when he gets under pressure? You know what he did? He's the same cool cat, Joe Montana-esque, better arm dude. You know what I mean?
As he was against Tennessee.
And I'm not going to front. RC, you can say in stadium, I get emotional. So I told you before, if it's not going our way,
understatement.
Don't overreact. Well, guess who flipped out in the first half?
Just a smidge.
RC can attest. Me and him.
Just a smidge. Just calm down.
So can the people in the row behind us and in front of us.
Me and RC had an argument in the middle of the stadium, but we hugged afterwards.
But there was no fighting. We saw
no. There was no fighting.
No hitting. It was a spirited conversation.
No, because I get emotional. So I'll be the first to admit, in the first half, I was like, come on, how you gonna underthrow? And we know it's the rust. He has a break off the rust. Second half, he plays like a beast. You know what I love more than that? Not only did Will Greer play great, not only was he calm and poised, but Chris just said it. That offensive line, I'm gonna take my hat off to you because you played against some some beasts. And the time you gave...
No, I don't even like beasts. Just Hokies. They're just Hokies.
Okay, just Hokies.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Timmy Settle seemed like more than just a...
But all offensive line provided him time. He was back there. I mean, like, there's a few times he got pressured, and he had certain lanes. The rushing game, hats off to you, offensive line. Hats off to you, Justin Crawford. Hats off to you, McCoy and Petaway and Tevin Bush and Will Greer, Sills.
Spav.
Everybody on that offense.
I understand. Hats off to Spav, because Spav was trying to hold the pocket to begin with. And he adjusted and just let him, and knew that they could get protection, so he let him stay in the pocket.
We only had 24 points in the game. We put up a lot of yards, and we adjusted in the second half. And I feel like next week we're going to hang 60, but we'll get to that.
We better hang 60.
All right, go ahead. I just had to get off. I was about to bust at the seams.
For brand new offensive coordinator, brand new quarterback, first time playing with the receivers, and especially when a couple of receivers, like especially Karan coming back from injury, I felt they did pretty good. Good.
Sills coming back after not playing receiver for an
not
entire
even playing.
year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Matt Jones being a freshman at center.
For all those question marks, I think we answered a lot of them.
Grant Lingenfelter got hurt and didn't come back
against a good defense,
an excellent defense. So yeah, I said earlier, this is the most optimistic I've ever been after a loss. Hats off to Virginia Tech, but mad respect to our boys. Very proud of them. Very happy with them. Wish we could have won. Wish Sills would have made that catch. Wish Will wouldn't have missed some guys early in the game. Wish we ran the ball more. Wish there wasn't miscommunication in the defense. But that's stuff that happens. It happens.
It's football.
And if you're a real fan, you support this team.
And the refs miss some calls sometimes.
They did. Now, I will say this. One of the things that I noticed, I felt like we lacked some discipline in some of the penalties. There was no place where we lacked discipline more than when Dana got that personal foul. Now, Dana, in his press conference today, said that the refs encouraged communication. He said the refs encouraged communication. Dana, you're right. Dana's right. They encourage communication. I knew Dana would be the first one to get this called on him. And sure enough, I believe he was the first one in the nation to get this called on him. It's part of what makes him who he is, his passion, his drive. But it's got to be cleaned up because we can't.
I'm going to defend him on that one. This one I agree with him. But you watch it, you look at it, you even listen to the announcer of the game. He just put his hands up. I mean,
but that was after he chased the ref down before, and then the ref chased him back. Dana also said in the press conference that he stepped out on the field and admitted he should not have. You know the rules. You're not an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. You're, I'm guessing, in your 40s. You can't make that mistake, man. We can't afford it. The game was too close for a 15-yard penalty. Dana.
That happens, and we kind of expect it, and I agree.
And I'm not saying that I love Dana. There are so many people who bash Dana and who don't like Dana. I love Dana. We are a better program for Dana. Dana is building us into what I want him to be. But that penalty, I'm sorry, you can't get those, man. You can't
get those penalties. Chris, anything else?
I don't think we'll see that again from him though.
I
really think even after the game, he was just like, I guess that's how they're calling it this year. We'll adjust.
I agree. You're right.
Now I have a few things I just need to say. this ain't off my chest, but I got to get it off my chest. Here's the thing. There's a couple things I learned about the VT game. I learned a few things at the Virginia Tech game. Now, remember, I also hate Pitt. Remember that. The first thing I learned is nothing comes close to my hatred for Pitt.
Nothing.
I was in a stadium, and I was just looking around, and like even before the game, you know, first of all, the atmosphere was electric. The tailgate was great. The fans were there, and you could feel it. You could feel electricity. That's what big games are supposed to be.
Speaking of tailgates, give a shout to Doug Johnson.
Doug Johnson.
Give a shout to Jason Riggs.
Appreciate y'all, for real.
Cooked it up, did it up, moonshined it up, showed the hospitality.
Real hospitality.
Y'all. Real Mountaineers there. Jason Riggs, Doug Johnson.
Intermingling with some Virginia Tech fans who may have been there, it hit me. I don't hate them nowhere near as much as Pitt, because if this was Pitt fans, there's no love. Y'all trick. Y'all trick. On the real.
I can't believe
it's not even close. It's not even close. It wasn't until I was there that it hit me. Nobody's even close to Pitt. That's the first thing. The second thing, I have to admit to y'all, you guys are going to lose a little respect for me, or maybe you won't. I keeps it real. So, when Enter the Sandman came on, we all decided to turn around and turn our backs to it. So I turned my back too. Just like this. And as they were rocking, I couldn't help but keep doing this right here. The Enter Sandman is so amazing. It's so amazing. It's nothing on anything West Virginia has. But they came in and they were rocking. I had to turn around. I had to watch it. So that's my two. I had to be honest. I had to come clean. I do hate Virginia Tech. I do hate Enter Sandman. But in that moment, it was hype. It was hype.
Yeah, like I said, it was basically a home game. Now, they were the home team, which is why we got to open the game with the pride, making the state, doing everything we love to see them do and have them do. But they got to do the halftime show. The video board was for them. Every time there was a big play, they did something to get them pumped up. Every time it was a third down, they did something to get them pumped up.
It was a neutral site game.
It was a neutral site game, but they were the home team. And it wasn't because they had more fans, even though I do think they beat us 60-40 maybe.
The bottom line is this. On third down, they didn't play music for us. On third down for them, they're playing Enter Sandman and other things to get their team hyped. Under a minute, go listen to the game again. They're cranking out Enter Sandman. And by the way, they're the home team, that's fine, but I just don't want to hear people say, which they will, Virginia Tech won in a neutral site game. Stop it. Stop it. I also want to say one more thing. I need to send apologies. I don't know if I should apologize because it may happen again.
Will happen again.
You don't apologize if something's going to happen again. I'm just saying.
Will, for sure.
I didn't explain this. I'm really thankful for the fact that we didn't do this podcast immediately after the game.
I think we might get better ratings if we did it right.
I will say.
We might have made ESPN if we did it right.
For anybody who was unfortunate enough to be around me as the game was concluded.
Present.
I'm just going to say I was a little bit ridiculous and I was emotional. And I said early on, passion works both ways. So I may have said
that since the sandwich on the TV incident.
I may have said
passion works both ways.
I may have said some things that I didn't really feel. I may have did some, we'll classify it as wild talk because I was heated and I was irritated and I was aggravated. I'm telling you, like in that moment, that matter of fact, I had this dude behind me. Every time Virginia Tech scored, he'd be like, all right, give me. So I dapped him up. I only did that because I knew when we scored, he better dap me up. So when we scored, I turned around and dapped him up. It's funny how that goes because near the end of the game, that's not so fun anymore. I'm sitting there, they score, and all I see out of my peripheral is this. His head just standing right here.
Yeah,
and I got to dap him up. You know what I want to do? All I want to do for once in my life is to win that game so I can point. All I want to do is point in one person's face in my life. You know what it reminded me of?
What it reminded you?
When we went out to Kansas. We went out to Kansas, Fog Island, to watch the basketball game.
But do we have to talk about this?
Yes. There were 40-year-old men.
Punt.
They're being the biggest babies because we're whipping them. And I'm happy, and I don't care. Then they start coming back, and they're looking over and saying stuff, and I wish they would. But anyway, you know what all I want to do is win the game to point in their face. What didn't happen is the same thing that didn't happen in Washington, D.C. And so when I say I was emotional and my feelings were hurt and I'm depressed and all this stuff is going on, that is why. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one.
Shout out to Sam Smith.
I know the rest of Mountaineer Nation feels exactly the way I feel. But what I know even more than that is those players and those coaches. If it's not equal to the way I feel, it's 10 times more. So I'm not trying to act like I'm special. All I'm saying is when this happens, I just.
The reason West Virginia football is great is because we care. The reason West Virginia football is great is because the people of the state of West Virginia and all the expatriates from the state of West Virginia care the way Jay and Fiend does.
No,
that's why.
When we go to a building and we're outnumbered and outgunned and outmanned and we represent for West Virginia and we're putting on and we're talking to everybody, that's what I'm saying. I put on for my city. I want to win that game so bad. So when we lose, it's for every action, there's an opposite but equal reaction. When is it supposed to happen when we lose afterwards?
My man with some physics over here. Look at it with some physics.
I know I shouldn't say certain things. I know you're going to get on me. You told all my business saying roll tide, roll. Roll tide, roll.
I don't control Twitter account.
But when I say, let me just say this. When I say roll tide, roll, everybody, I don't really mean it. I would give every national championship Alabama ever had. I could care less about Alabama for West Virginia. And actions speak louder than words because I'm going to be there in East Carolina. I'm a Mountaineer through and through.
He's doing a podcast.
I just get frustrated, okay?
And I got frustrated with him.
And Uncle Nick is from West Virginia. I don't care about Alabama, though.
Uncle Nick. I thought you said something else.
Uncle Nick is from West Virginia.
Uncle Nick is from Alabama. You need to enunciate because I was like, look, we call this a family-friendly show. You just...
I'm just saying I'm a Mountaineer through and through. So if you're around me, I'm sorry you had to be there. I'm passionate. I told you. And I'm all Mountaineer now. I can't wait for ECU. You lick your wounds. You get ready. You take them country roads home. And we're going to finish 11-1.
We're going to finish it.
My last word right here on the game was this. Tough loss. But definitely, I'm so glad I was there at the game. It was a great atmosphere, wonderful experience being there at the game. Absolutely. It was electric. The crowd was into it. And that's exactly why we will see you all next year in Charlotte when we play Tennessee to open the year, because these games are just terrific to be a part of.
Yeah, baby. Mountaineer Nation. All right, that's it. After this, though, we go to our ECU preview. Thanks for listening and watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Check the links in the description for all our other media outlets.
And no matter what you do, no matter what you heard, no matter what we said, don't forget, we also hate Pitt.